Myself and a very close friend decided once again to go grizzly hunting. We both had a goal of trying to bag a bear of each color variation: toklat, silvertip, and so on. Brad and I often hunted together, and as we were quite confident of each other's skills as accomplished grizzly hunters. In fact, looking back now, I see that we were overly confident, which would lead to a fatal mistake in this particular hunt. It started out as any other hunt. We met at the lake where our bush plane was kept. We loaded all of our gear, food, tent, and supplies into the plane. We checked and double-checked that we had everything needed and that the plane was good to go as well. We lifted off on a beautiful sunny day and headed pretty much due north. We came to an area that showed promise with several excellent bears sighted along the way, so we chose to set down on a small lake about 80 air miles north of where we keep our plane. Alaskan law mandates that after flying into your campsite, no hunting can be done for at least 24 hours after landing. So the first day we spent setting up camp, cutting firewood, and so on. The next day we started our hunt. I would glass the area while Brad stood watch with his rifle. The wild blueberries in this area are high and thick, preventing us from seeing very far. So we are on high alert, watching for bear constantly as we make our way across the muskeg, which, if you have never walked on it, makes for a difficult, time-consuming way of travel, with one step being a foot or more higher or lower than the next step. A difficult way of travel indeed. The water in the lake that we were camped by, I recall, was so clear it looked like it was just a few inches deep, when in fact it was several feet deep and ice cold, and drinkable. We were hunting toward the end of August, and most nights our jugs of water would freeze on top overnight. But during the day, the temperature was comfortable. On day 3 or 4, we finally set our eyes on a beautiful silvertip male grizzly. We began our stalk, slow but deliberate. Brad would shoot, and I would glass and be his backup if needed. It took us a little over an hour and a half to get into place for the possibility of a good shot. When the bear finally presented Brad with a good shot, as Brad squeezed off the shot, it was almost like the bear anticipated the shot or something. But regardless, the bear lunged just before the bullet hit its mark, resulting in a shot not in the heart-lung area but in the gut, and the bear disappeared over a slight rise and into heavier cover. We slowly pursued after waiting a bit in caution, hoping the bear would die so we would not have to approach a wounded, angry bear. Grizzlies have been known to track a hunter down that has wounded them over 100 miles just seeking revenge, which is the reason for waiting a bit. Anyway, we started following the blood trail, and as we went, I noticed we were being led deeper into much thicker cover, which wasn't surprising. Bears often take to thicker cover when pursued. As we followed the blood trail, we noticed that the blood trail was not increasing as we hoped, it was decreasing. I have seen this before. Either the wound was not a fatal shot and it is just clotting closed, or the shot was a fatal shot. But a gut shot that takes a long time to be fatal sometimes gets plugged with winter fat that closes the blood trail, or at least slows down the flow of blood for us to follow. But we pushed on, following the trail as it lasted, Brad leading the way by not more than 3 to 5 steps. And suddenly, from our left side, faster than you could possibly imagine, the bear attacked. Without hesitation, and with only one swipe of his gigantic paw, he removed Brad's head. I did not have time for a shot, but I knew well that if I didn't get this angry bear first and soon, I could very well be next. So I kept tracking in the way the bear was last seen. I noticed that the bear actually laid down a trail for us to follow. Then he actually circled around and waited for us on his own back trail, a very cunning and determined bear indeed. I followed that bear until just about dark, then I stopped for the night, but let me say I did not sleep at all that night. At first light, I started tracking the bear once again. I proceeded with the utmost caution, slowly and as quietly as I possibly could. I removed my boots and put extra socks on in an attempt to be as quiet as possible. About midday, I came upon him lying in thick cover, watching his back trail, waiting to ambush me as I made my way up his trail. I thank God for allowing me to see him before I got close enough to him before he could jump on me like he did to my dear friend Brad. Never underestimate bears. They are big, but they are not slow. They are extremely fast and accurate in their intentions.